milk for human consumption. And with that, what we're seeing is, for example, armed raids on farms where they're going in and confiscating thousands or tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment and food and sometimes personal belongings. And we're also seeing undercover sting operations on small farms, buying clubs, and co-ops, which, I mean, we know how ridiculous that is. And I mean, this is milk we're talking about. It's nothing other than milk. But yet, like the buying club that I'm a part of, the FDA conducted a 1.5 year long undercover sting operation on it, just to discover that they were, in fact, providing raw milk.
And by the way, this wasn't done in secret. They do the investigation to I guess, hype themselves up like this is really something illegal, and later if they need to, show it to a jury. I've seen them walk into places selling organic vegetables with guns drawn, as if that makes you a criminal because they act like you're a crack dealer. I mean, you can really see the theater that's involved here.
Right. And sometimes I wonder if the enforcers know exactly what it is that they're going after there, because I can only imagine like how they come home that day and say, you know, their spouse says, so how was your day? And they say, oh, well, I spent the day going after food. I mean, I really wonder if they have any idea what it is they're actually dealing with.
Well, how did you get involved in all of this and then continue with the state of, well, raw foods, whole foods, period? Because I have a few other questions.
Well, I got involved in all of this because when my first daughter was about 1.5, she had some serious digestive issues, and she was showing signs of being intolerant to conventional milk. And my sister's also highly allergic, so it was natural for me to suspect that. And we did some research, my husband and I did some research, and we found that we wanted to try her on raw milk. And we did, and her digestive issues completely cleared up. And there was a time when after my second daughter was weaned, that we couldn't find it, and we put them both back on pasteurized milk, and they both got very sick from it. So ever since then, we've decided, you know, raw is the only way to go. We're not going to try again to put them on pasteurized. It did not work for them. So that's how I got involved, just in that, in just purchasing it. But then when I realized part of what happened was in Maryland, the health department, who regulates milk, banned cow shares. Now, a cow share is when several people go in together and each own part of a cow and then get the milk from their own animal. And the health department redefined that as a sale of raw milk, specifically to make it illegal.
Yeah, God forbid people in the cities start creating their own farming co-ops. That'll end the big Wally world. That would end concentration camp farming of chicken. That would be people actually going back to the land by hiring their own people to do it. My God, that would end the power monopoly over people in North America. We can't have that.
Of course not. So they redefined it. They just took something and redefined it, because when you're the government, you can just redefine things. And so they made it illegal, and that really upset me, because that's when my daughters couldn't get it. And so it really pissed me off that here they are undermining my authority as a parent. Now, mind you, I can feed my children soda pop and lollipops all day long, perfectly fine.
Or formula that's half corn syrup.
Yes, right. But get raw milk for them? No.
Well, but by the way, I've read a lot of history. If you go back even 100 years ago, or even 60, 70 years ago, I was reading cases in Germany. The doctors, before they were told by HMOs what to do, they would say, your child can't hold down regular milk, get them raw milk. I mean, this has been well known. Or if they have a problem with that, get them raw goat milk, or raw goat milk that's been powdered, or Jenny milk, jackass, donkey milk. I mean, all of these, this has all been known for cultures forever. You know, you figured it out yourself, trial and error, but this has been figured out by people, and it's been known. And but here's another question I have for you, and then you can finish up with the other story, or finish that and then get into this. I was having an argument with a family member about, no, raw cheese is legal. I don't care if you read in the news that they raided a group who was, a farm that was creating raw cheese. You can go to Whole Foods and buy raw cheese all day long. In fact, most stuff from Europe's raw cheese. But and then I went and showed them on the Whole Foods website, yes, frequently asked questions, In fact, folks, we can probably show this after you leave. It says, yes, we sell raw cheese for now. So the point is, how are they rating people producing raw cheese, but then big companies are allowed to sell it? I mean, this...
Well, yeah, the raw cheese has a lot of regulations around it, including certain aging requirements. So in most places, it's legal to sell raw cheese that have certain aging requirements met. And I think you're talking of Morningland Dairy in Missouri. They got raided and they got shut down, and they got told to destroy their entire stock of cheese, which completely put them out of business. And the reason for that is because there was some listeria discovered on the cheese. Now, that never made anybody sick, and listeria can be present on lots of food that doesn't actually affect people. So it didn't matter that this cheese hadn't made anybody sick and that it's a small operation. They just arbitrarily shut them down because of that.
There's so many facets to this. If you were on national TV for just 3-4 minutes, you had the floor, what are some of the points you'd like to make? What has been the success of your freedom riders for raw milk? Where are you going from here?
Well, the raw milk freedom riders, what we did is we really challenged the FDA on their complete ban on interstate transportation of raw milk. And they issued a statement in response saying that they do not intend to target individual consumers on this. And that, that's a response. It's not a satisfactory response because we're not going to stop until the ban is completely lifted. It's absolutely ludicrous that in a country that calls itself free, we cannot, or our farmers cannot travel across state lines for raw milk. And we're going to keep going with it until it's challenged more than that. Another part of the reason we did it is to bring some attention to the issue because, the average American doesn't realize that the FDA has criminalized farmers and parents who transport raw milk across state lines. And so when people realize just the kind of control that the FDA has over us and our food supply right now, they get really upset. And that's a big part of it, is getting a lot of people upset enough to create some active and positive change around that.
Liz, you said a food renaissance is happening.
It is.
And I'm seeing that myself as somebody who's just starting to graze the surface of it and been watching it for a few years. And I see this as one of the most fundamental revolutions against the corruption, big agro, this consolidation, the whole thing Monsanto's is engaging in, really a military-style takeover of the biosphere, the very life cycle of this planet. Quantify, though, as somebody on the front lines, why do you say we're in a food renaissance?
Well, I say it because people are coming back to wanting really good food. And you don't have to be elite for that. You don't have to have a large income for that. It's just about going back to the source. Like, not so much frozen foods or microwave foods anymore, but it's getting fresh foods, and a lot of times local foods, maybe growing your own, or maybe just getting a CSA and getting your food every week from a farmer. But it's for people this new experience of tasting really good, really fresh food, and including raw milk. It just tastes extremely good and much better. It's much better than the conventional, in my opinion. Of course, everybody's got their own taste, but that's what the people in this
a lot of people would rather have a MSG-filled Hungry Man or something instead of eat something right off the farm that tastes a lot better. That's their opinion. But you should have a right. I certainly see a huge concerted crackdown, intimidation across the board, trying to mop up these burgeoning organic farms and things that are springing up. But I see in the communities I talk to that being a backlash and causing an even bigger backlash. The system's backlash is triggering an even bigger backlash against it, and it's really a wake-up call that, wow, this big agri takeover is really a sinister plan.
Well, perhaps, but what the good thing going for us is that every time there's a big crackdown on raw milk or on an organic producer or something like that, it brings more people to fresh, local, healthy foods, raw milk. So it's actually the way that the government and the big industries are shooting themselves in the foot.
Sure, their crackdown is causing a backfire. So you agree, you're seeing that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So where do you see it going 5 years from now if this continues? Will the forces of consolidation be successful, or will they fail?
Oh, ultimately, they're absolutely going to fail. I mean, we've got so many passionate Americans around wanting good food. And, you know, you've got chefs, and the chefs all want to have food that tastes the way it's supposed to taste. You know, an egg is supposed to taste like an egg, and milk is supposed to taste like milk, and all these other things they have distinctive taste. And the chefs use this. And as people participate in this food renaissance, you know, the average American is transformed by it. And there's no way that they can hold back the tide of Americans who want good food.
Well, that's good news. Liz Reitzig of Food. In fact, let me give people your website up there. I was reading it off the screen. What's the best website for people to visit?
It's the Farm Food Freedom Coalition, or it's farmfoodfreedom.org. And they can also go to our Facebook page and like it, become a fan.
All right. Thanks a million, and thanks for standing up for all our basic freedoms.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much, Alex.
All right. Good to talk to you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this edition of InfoWars Nightly News. And it is people like Liz that are going to turn this country and this world around. It is our everyday personal decisions, voting with our choices, voting with our own dollars, that's going to change the world. It doesn't mean any of us are perfect or that we're going to get all the answers right, but it's one of the few areas where we really see success taking place. And with cancer exploding and all these other degenerative diseases expanding, it's no doubt that it's due to the eugenics diet that the globalists feed us. And it is part of a concerted plan, as the White House science czar has said. They want to put sterilants in the water. Well, they already are. We've tested the water. They're adding it. Radioactive isotopes, sodium fluoride, you name it. It is unbelievable. Great job to the crew and our other guests this evening. And Lord willing, we'll see you back tomorrow, 7 o'clock Central, right here at InfoWars Nightly News. And, of course, we've archived the 27-hour broadcast we did Thursday and Friday at PrisonPlanet.tv as well. We couldn't do any of this without you. I want to thank all of you that supported us with the InfoWars Money Bomb. And though the woods are lovely, dark, and deep, I have miles to go before I sleep. I'm going to now leave here and go to my home and do at least 3 hours of Coast to Coast AM this evening with George Norrie, coasttocoastam.com. I'm Alex Jones signing off for now from the front lines of the InfoWar.